So obviously I signed on with Beyond Pricing. It had been 2013, 2014 when I was over revenue at Southern Vacation Rentals. And at that time, we managed about 1,200 properties at Southern Vacation Rentals. Beyond Pricing at that, Beyond Pricing was great with, the Panhandle of Florida and really understanding, right? Really understanding the market itself. And we realistically relied on the data a lot more, or the algorithms of Beyond Pricing, before we were doing manual data entry at that point. And obviously, a lot of the advantages that Beyond Pricing gave at the time, this was actually kind of before dynamic pricing was even a thing, but it gave us the flexibility of last minute discounts, far future rate increases, LOS restrictions, gap fills, and stuff like that. In 2022, we sold to a parent holding company. At that time, we actually moved all of our inventory of the parent holding company to Beyond Pricing. They were doing a very manual process. And it actually made it very easy to scale out Beyond Pricing because the algorithms were so in tuned that we didn't have to do a ton of overrides, a ton of manipulation to the data, right? So the data actually worked out very, very well, and we didn't have to do a ton of overrides. We were looking into Wheelhouse to try to figure out, is this a better approach? And Wheelhouse was extremely customizable to the algorithms. So we did decide to move forward to Wheelhouse on that side of it because it was so customizable. This was probably January. This was probably July of 23 when we made that change into Wheelhouse and moved our entire program from Beyond to Wheelhouse. And what we didn't realize at that time was how good the Beyond algorithms were, to the point where of the customization that we had to do within Wheelhouse itself. But what you don't realize is the amount of expense you're going to have with all the customization that comes within the Wheelhouse products, right? So where we were spending, 10 hours a week, and just doing a rough estimate, I thought 10 hours a week in each marketplace looking at the algorithms, that stuff, that quadrupled, right? It became a full-time job of overrides and customizations and doing all this and not really relying on the data because it wasn't trustworthy. So it actually created that. And then so that was obviously a big issue, right? Where we were spending more and more man hours than what we ever did with Beyond Pricing on it. If a revenue manager leaves, untangling that web of all those customizations and so forth literally took me months, right? I was literally sitting there spending months untangling what they had set up and trying to figure out exactly what it was. Wheelhouse and Beyond are both dynamic pricing systems, but they're very, very drastically different. Beyond is obviously the best way to go because the algorithm's more dialed in. It doesn't have to be so customizable. You can have a good trail of what's going on. You can see exactly what's going on. And it really just kind of your don't want to say entry level revenue manager because but a good solid revenue manager, Beyond Pricing is a great product for it, right? I always kind of talk about Wheelhouse is kind of like the FUBU of revenue management platforms, where it was built by high professional revenue managers, right? That's what they did. And they want all these tools, all these customizations, and doing all that. So you have all this customization, but the expense you're going to have to actually operate it is going to be tenfold of what you're currently paying with Beyond Pricing, where Beyond Pricing may be more expensive off the get-go. They'll actually be more expensive with Wheelhouse in the long run. What is cheaper and what's more expensive now is going to be cheaper in the long run, right? To me, yes, it's expensive up front, but you're going to end up having a lot more expensive with Wheelhouse. Wheelhouse is like, well, we publish, we have the algorithms, but their algorithms are not what Beyond's algorithm is. Their data is nowhere close to what you guys have.